Welcome to Warehouse and Operations as a Career and the second quarter of 2019. I'm Marty T. Hawkins, and I appreciate you checking in with us today. So tell me, how'd the last 13 weeks treat you? I hope it was productive and prosperous. Did you stick to your plan? Obtain all those first quarter goals? I tell you, we've received so many messages about pay increases and advancements that's been made. Keep up the good work. If your plan was a little more aggressive and you're still working it, stick to your plan and you'll see those results. You know, the important thing to remember is don't get discouraged. Stay true to your plan and success will come. We're in it for the long haul. It's a career that we're chasing, and we have 38 more weeks to work it this year. We're all going to be successful because we've got a plan, right? Okay, let's see. What do we want to talk about today? I had a few questions about inventory control, driver check-in, and the returns positions. So let's start there. All of these are kind of linked anyway. I mean, they all deal with our company's financial departments. You know, depending on what industry you're in or what kind of product you'll be working with, the specific SOPs or standard operating procedures will, of course, be a little different. But overall, I think we can talk about what the job could entail. Let's start off with the driver check-in position. In a smaller facility, this may just be an additional task that we'll end up doing each day, whereas in our larger operations, it'll be a full-time position. Maybe it'll have its own department even. I've seen facilities that require even 2 or 3 people manning the docks to assist our drivers as they return from their daily routes. Think about a distribution center that sends out maybe 100 loads each day. As those drivers are out making their deliveries, they're going to be making adjustments to customers' invoices, maybe accepting partial payments, adjustments to credits that are owed to the customer, accepting money orders, checks, and sometimes even cash. If you've never been or known a delivery driver, oh my gosh. Those horror stories they tell of how a salesman may have misgiven a customer a credit on a return or forgot to apply a discount to an invoice, and how, of course, the driver gets the lecture from the customer. Now, it's the driver's responsibility to get authorization to make any adjustments to an account, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen even daily. Hence, why we need the driver check-in task. Boy, I tell you, there's some really slick systems out there today, too. If our company utilizes a connected WMS or warehouse management system, our drivers may have an electronic tablet that can collect signatures, apply returns or adjustment codes. Some of these can even accept payments right there from the tablet. But what I really see out in the field mostly are the old school paper invoices. I think in the distribution and delivery fields, we're still catching up with the world of possibilities. Anyway, our drivers will be making those adjustments with pen and paper most of the time. Drivers are in a hurry all day. You can imagine what those invoices can look like after being carried around in the cab of a tractor for 10 hours. So, our driver has delivered his or her whole load, made all their stops, and returns to the warehouse to turn everything in. We'll be their first stop after backing in at the dock upon their return. The driver check-in clerk works closely with the transportation department, its drivers and supervisors, but they also will need to be able to communicate with the sales teams. They'll need to sort out any credits and discounts given and adjusted. We'll also be working with, and maybe even reporting to, our financial departments, APAR, etc. I know one medium-sized facility where the driver check-in clerk reports directly to the CFO. It's going to be our job to reconcile those invoices with the customer's accounts, dig in particulars from the driver, and then report any and all discrepancies. The driver check-in position is very important. It's a great lead-in task to the world of inventory control or a career in accounting also. Now, as a returns coordinator, we may work closely beside the driver check-in person. Our driver may have some product returned by the customer for a refund or credit to their accounts. Maybe the warehouse has misshipped an item, or the warehouse might have misloaded something, or the driver could have damaged a case. Our drivers will inevitably be bringing product back, and that's where we'll step in as a returns clerk. Again, in a smaller house, we could be the check-in person and the returns clerk, but the duties are pretty much the same as in the larger or more defined row houses. Returns departments are responsible for the disposition of that return. If the merchandise is in good shape and resellable, we'll need to make sure the count is added back into the inventory so it can be resold. If it's damaged, dated, or maybe out of its original packaging, otherwise cannot be restocked, it's our job to document its disposition. Many houses may donate items or sell them to discount houses. If we determine it's to be restocked by us, we'll follow the stocking procedure at our facility to get it back to the pick location and put away. A piece of that procedure will be notifying inventory control to ensure its count is added to the inventory. I really believe that the returns department can be one of those first positions for us. Although I wouldn't consider it a general labor position, it is a great starter job for those that like paperwork and can keep things organized and always following directions. We'll get a little exposure to other warehouse positions and quite possibly a little equipment usage like an electric walkie jack or maybe a rider jack. From here, we can easily move into a warehouse role or into transportation or maybe into the financial side of the business like inventory control. Speaking of inventory control, let's see where to start there. It's a pretty big department. Inventory control, at least in our larger facilities, may consist of 2 departments or segments of positions. Of course, you have the financial side, responsible for the inventory, reconciling its in and out of the building movements, a cycle counting program, or the physical counts of every item. This group is responsible for putting items into inventory or taking them out of inventory or all the adjustments due to damages, spoilage, lost product, etc. Really every adjustment to inventory except its initial entry into the building, which of course our warehouse receiver position performs. And this group usually reports to the CFO or some department that the CFO oversees. Then you may have a warehouse inventory control position. I actually held this position once for about 4 years. I really enjoyed it and learned a lot about it. Well, a lot about a little of it, I guess. The accounting responsibilities. I would get a sheet of all the shorts on truck for the day and have to go out and count pick slots to see if they were a case heavy. If a driver gets to a stop and let's say they ordered 10 cases of green beans, but there's only 9 cases on the truck, he's going to mark it or code it as a short on truck on the invoice. At the end of the day, the driver is going to tell the driver check-in person that he or she only had 9 cases of green beans on the truck and the warehouse shorted him 1 case. Now the invoice to the customer is going to be adjusted, so at this point the missing case of green beans is a loss to the company. A count would be triggered by the warehouse management system, and I'd be the one to go out and count the slot. If when I counted it I was 1 case over, we could assume that the selector had only grabbed 9 cases, and I'd ask inventory control to add 1 case back into the machine, correcting our inventory count. Now if the slot count was correct, or had the quantity that the machine thought was there, then we'd have to assume that the driver had misdelivered it, maybe to another customer, meaning that they may have received 1 more case of green beans than they had ordered or paid for. In this case, transportation would be dinged for the cost of the case. It was also my responsibility to find lost product. Maybe a fork driver had scanned the wrong slot during a put away or placed it in the wrong aisle, or maybe the replenishment driver had placed a pallet in the wrong selection slot. I had to go through the warehouse and find those type of errors. Basically, I had to have all the answers for the accountants when it came to, what operations had done with this product. I really loved that job. I had the opportunity to work with the merchandisers, accounting, transportation, and warehouse. Inventory control is a great stepping stone in our plan. You can quite literally go in any direction within the company from here. You can really see how all three of these positions, driver check-in, returns clerk, and inventory control, work closely with each other. They're all about reconciling inventory, monies, and the finances, all from within the realm of warehouse. I've seen them all be filled by a newbie to this business. It's not uncommon at all to fill one of these jobs right from the street. No experience is really required. And they'll all give us a little equipment experience eventually. I think they're all three great first positions. And all three of them affords us the opportunity to explore different career paths while giving us experiences in three different fields. Well, there's the 10-cent tour of a few great positions. Now, I've worked all three of them. You won't go wrong with having any one of them or all three of them in your plan. The important thing is to have that plan and know what your final career goals are. If I can answer any specific questions on any of their daily tasks or where they can lead you, please don't hesitate to send us an email to host@warehouse-and-operations-as-a-career.com. And I'll reach out to someone performing the task. We'll get an expert's view and opinions. Until next week, welcome to Q2 of 2019. Write down 3 things that you'd like to accomplish over the next 13 weeks and reach those goals. Oh, and if you haven't checked us out on Facebook and Twitter, maybe liked and followed our feeds, I'd greatly appreciate it. You can find us on both using that little @ WHSEANDOPS. And maybe you'd like joining the Warehouse Equipment Operators community group on Facebook as well. Have a prosperous, productive week ahead, and please remember our first task is and should always be doing it safely at all times.